Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, thank you. I've got the second part of a 25 book submission today to go through. They are mainly a recouping submission, and if you watch the first part, grades are going pretty much as expected with the odd exception, and we're going to get stuck into the next 8 books today. And what I'm going to do is what I always do. I will go through the books one at a time. I will tell you what I did to them, if anything interesting. I will tell you what my grade expectations were and the cost that the book was for me to get here landed, including taxes, shipping, everything. And then I'll unveil it and we'll see what CGC gave us. So if you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll get stuck into it with Spectacular Spider-Man 101, Newsstand edition. This is a pretty cool cover. I've had this book before in high grade. I'm not sure if I've had it in 9.8 before. This one cost me $53 because I thought it was in really nice condition. And it seemed great other than a few minor ticks, which I thought would limit it to a 9.6. So, I was expecting a decent grade for it, which has a fair bit of value in a 9.6. Sent CGC expecting a 9.6 and received 9.2. Grade notes are, okay, bend to the right bottom of the front cover and bend right top of the back cover. Interesting. So this book would not have had any bends when I initially packed it. So maybe these happened in transmission. It's a bit unfortunate. I don't often have this happen. If the books were coming back to me, this is one that I would probably crack and repress because it does have a fair bit of decent value. And didn't really mention the minor ticks, which was interesting. So there might have been a chance that this one graded better. That's all right. Moving on to Web of Spider-Man number 31, Newsstand edition. This book is a previous 8.5 I've had that I received and I cracked out of the slab and repressed it. It had a stain in the inside of the back cover, I believe it was, and I just needed to do a bit of hop on it just to remove that, which I did. But I thought it just had a couple of ticks and a couple of little minor defects that were still going to limit it to around a 9.6. That's okay. So overall, my cost basis for this one was $66, including the initial cost, the first grading. So I sent it to CGC expecting a 9.6 and received a 9.4. Spine stretch lines of the cover are the only remark, and I think that's fair. At least the stain's gone now, so that's a great return. Moving on to Sonic the Hedgehog from 1993 in Newsstand edition, the Archie version. This one cost me $42. I thought it was a nice book. It had a lot of potential, but the light ticks to the spine on the white was promising because you can really reduce those. There's a dust shadow on the back cover, but the inside was clean. So I removed the dust shadow off the back, and the front cover had a small scuff and the start of maybe a finger bend crease at the right edge. So I really put a bit of work into this book because in a high grade newsstand, it's worth a fair bit. I got to the point where I was expecting a 9.4 to 9.6 for it. Sent it to CGC and they said 9.6. Oh, great. It was nice to get it on the upper band of the range. And the graded notes are interesting. A spine stress lines to the cover and a crease to the right center of the front cover. So 9.6 with a small crease and spine ticks is quite generous, I think. So good outcome. Moving on to Amazing Spider-Man 172. This is sort of getting into, and there are quite a few of these era books in this submission, into the mid to late 70s Spider-Man. This one cost me $32. The back cover had a bit of yellow, which I've seen in other books, and that's fine, they allow that. The front cover had some bends going horizontally across, which might have left some line breaks. It presented pretty well after a clean and press, but there were definitely some ticks, and I thought it would come back in the 9.4 to 9.6 range. So as you see, and they gave me a 9.4. That's all right, on the lower end with spine stress lines to the cover. So that's all right. Moving on to Masters of the Universe, number 1, the 1986 version. And this one cost me $41. I thought it was in pretty good condition. Had a small possible printer's crease on the back cover and a bit of wear on the top of the spine along with those ticks. I thought it would clean up pretty well, and I was expecting it to come back as 9.4 to 9.6. Sent it to CGC, and they said 8.5. And the greatest notes are spine stress lines to the cover, which we know about, a stacking bend on the full right of the front cover, and foxy interior cover. So I've missed some foxy, which is disappointing. That's something I can treat pretty well normally. And a stacking bend. So, this is the second book in this submission that's had some sort of bending in it that was unexpected. So maybe something went wrong with this one in packing. Maybe I didn't pack it well enough, or something happened in transit. But that's a bit disappointing. This is one that, if it had come back to me, maybe I would have cracked it and repressed it. It did still have those ticks, which I think I'm going to limit it. So that's all right. Right, moving on to Wolverine number 3 from the limited series in 1982. This one cost me $41. Came in pretty good condition, but there were 3 or 4 ticks, and the top right corner was slightly soft or damaged. And I was hoping it would come back no lower than a 9.4. Sent CGC, and they said 9.2. Okay, so it did come lower, and their notes are spine stress lines and a crease on the right top of the front cover. Perfectly fair grade. All right, moving on to Amazing Spider-Man 160. So this is, again, from the mid to late 70s, really good era for Spider-Man. Cost me $55 from a seller I've bought a few books from that was liquidating their collection. There was a finger bend crease on the top of the cover, a few ticks and some light rippling along the bottom edge. And I thought it was going to come back around a 9.2, which was a decent grade still. Sent CGC expecting around 9.2 and got 8.5. Ooh. And the greater notes are spine stress lines, multiple creases right center of the front cover. So yeah, it had some creases, and they've just because there were several small ones, they've deemed it 8.5, which I think is fair, and I probably overestimated that book. The value difference is not significant though. Moving on to the last book of the 8 books of the second part of the submission, which is Amazing Spider-Man 152, same era. Cost me $16, so that's a good price for it. And it was absolutely filthy, especially the back cover. It's nice to clean these books and be able to make a big visual difference very easily when you do a dry clean. Had a bit of miswrap, as you can see, some soft corners. The back cover had a small tear on the top edge. There was some few creases and ticks that were large. And after it pressed, I actually still thought it was going to come back as a 9 to 9.2. So for all the wear and bits and pieces it had, this is a book that did come back to life a little bit nicely. So sent it CGC expecting a 9 to 9.2 and received a 9. That's good. It's within the range. And the greatest notes are spine stress lines to the cover, crease on the left bottom of the back cover, and a tear on the top of the back cover. So all the things I mentioned, and yeah, the grade's really good. So that concludes the second part of the 25 book submission. And the next part is all going to be Amazing Spider-Man, including some Mark Jeweller insert ones, which are ones I randomly come across at times. So if you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe. I really need to say that more often. And I hope to see you in the next video.